When you open your eyes in the morning, the very first thing you do is not reach for your phone, not check your messages, not think about the to-do list waiting for you. The very first thing you do is remind yourself of this simple truth, asterisk, I am in control of my mind and my day. Asterisk, this is not just a statement, it is a commitment, a declaration, a promise you make to yourself before the world has a chance to shape your mood or affect your energy. Because how you begin your morning sets the tone for everything that follows. Many people believe they're at the mercy of their environment, the people around them, or the unpredictable nature of life. They wake up, and before they've even gotten out of bed, they're already thinking about stress, problems, obligations. But this way of living is like walking into battle without armor. If you don't first take charge of your own mind, the world will do it for you. And often, it won't be kind. That's why this affirmation, I am in control of my mind and my day, is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You see, control doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that nothing will go wrong. It means that you decide how to respond. You decide whether your energy will be wasted on worry or invested in progress. It means you choose to pause before reacting. You choose to breathe before speaking. You choose to see things as they are, not worse than they are. And from that clarity, you act. That's real power. That's real discipline. And it begins the moment you wake up. Think about how many days you've lived where something small, a message, a delay, someone else's mood, changed your entire emotional state. You went from calm to angry, focused to distracted, happy to irritated, in a matter of seconds. That happened because your mind wasn't anchored. It was floating, open to being shaped by anything that crossed your path. But what happens when you anchor your mind asterisk before asterisk, the world even touches you? What happens when you remind yourself, no matter what comes today, I decide how I meet it? You reclaim your peace. You reclaim your direction. And in that space of inner control, you start creating instead of reacting. The discipline to say this affirmation every morning is simple, but simple is not the same as easy. The reason it becomes powerful is because you do it consistently, not once, not just on days when you feel good, but especially on the days you don't, especially when your thoughts are clouded, your body feels tired, or the day ahead feels heavy. That's when it matters most. Because discipline is not about how you feel. It's about what you choose. This affirmation is the first choice of the day. A conscious reminder that asterisk, you are not your thoughts, your stress, your doubts. You are the one observing them, the one guiding them, the one deciding what they mean and where they lead. Asterisk, this is a powerful realization. You are the observer, the witness. And once you realize that you can step back from whatever storm is in your mind and return to this center, I am in control of my mind and my day, you begin to master the art of living with awareness. You stop being pulled in every direction. You stop being a slave to distraction or negativity. You begin to train your mind the same way a warrior trains the body, with precision, with patience, with purpose. And this is not just about personal peace. It's about effectiveness. Because the person who is grounded, focused, and emotionally stable in the morning will always move through the day with more clarity, make better decisions, and handle challenges with greater ease than someone who starts the day scattered and reactive. It's the difference between starting your day on your heels or standing firm on your feet, between being controlled by circumstances or calmly shaping your response to them. Now, some people will say, "But I can't control what happens in my day." That's true, you can't. But that's not what this affirmation is about. It's not about controlling the world. It's about controlling your inner world. And the beautiful truth is, when you master your inner world, the outer world loses its power over you. Problems may still come, but they don't rattle you the same way. People may still test your patience, but you don't hand them control over your emotions. You remain centered, calm, intentional, and that changes everything, because from that space of control, you can choose thoughts that empower you instead of thoughts that drain you. You can focus on progress instead of fear. You can speak with kindness instead of reacting with anger. All of it starts with this, taking your power back the moment you wake up. So, tomorrow morning, when your eyes open and the light starts to creep into your room, don't start the day by picking up your phone or rushing into stress. Start it with stillness, breathe, and say it with presence. Say it with belief. Say it like you mean it. Asterisk, I am in control of my mind and my day. Asterisk, then act like it with your posture, your voice, your breath, your choices. Over time, this will not just be something you say. It will become something you live, something you are. And it will change the way you walk through this world. That's where the transformation begins. Every morning presents us with a choice, a clean slate, a moment before the noise of the world reaches us, before the tasks and responsibilities rush in. In that space, we decide what we carry with us into the new day. And this is where the second affirmation holds its power. Asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight. Asterisk, these words are not only healing, they are liberating. Because what holds most people back is not what's in front of them, but what's behind them that they refuse to put down. You can't move freely toward your future when your hands are full of what you should have let go of long ago. The mistakes, the regrets, the guilt, the emotional baggage, they don't just sit quietly in the background. They whisper into your mind, they shape your posture, they slow your movement. Even when you try to push forward, they pull you back. That's why this affirmation is essential. It is the reminder that you do not owe your past any more of your present, that you are allowed, fully allowed to release, forgive, and begin again. The truth is, nobody makes it through life without falling short, without missteps, without days that didn't go how we hoped. That's part of the path. But what defines your life is not those moments themselves. It's what you choose to do with them. Do you hold them tight, relive them over and over, punish yourself with them? Or do you gather the lesson, bow to the experience, and step forward lighter and wiser? The morning is your invitation to start over, but to accept that invitation, you must first put something down. This isn't about ignoring the past or pretending it didn't happen. It's about no longer giving it the power to shape your future. It's about deciding that today's energy will not be drained by yesterday's shadows. You've already paid the price for the past. Carrying it with you every day is just interest on a debt that's been settled. So when you wake up and say, asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight. Asterisk, say it like you believe in your own healing. Say it not just with your mouth, but with your body. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen. Let the tension leave your chest, and notice what happens in that stillness. A subtle but profound shift. A quiet strength awakening. That's you remembering who you are beyond your regrets, beyond your mistakes, beyond your yesterday. Sometimes we think we need permission to move on. We wait for someone else to forgive us, to understand us, to tell us it's okay. But the most powerful permission is the one you give yourself. The words you speak in the mirror when no one is watching. The courage to say, I did my best with what I knew then. I may not have gotten everything right, but I'm growing. And today, I continue forward unburdened. This kind of self-talk is not weakness. It is not delusion. It is strength rooted in compassion. It is what allows you to keep evolving. Because only when the weight is released can you rise. Only when the past is accepted can the present be lived. And only when you stop fighting yourself can your true energy be focused where it matters, on becoming who you are meant to be. It's also important to remember that the weight of yesterday doesn't only come from our own actions. Sometimes it's what others have done to us, the hurt, the betrayal, the disappointment. These wounds can become invisible armor protecting us, but also hardening us. And every day we wake up still wearing it, still letting it filter how we see the world. But here's the truth. When you continue to carry what someone else did, you give them free access to your peace. You extend the damage long after the moment is gone. So this affirmation is also your quiet revolution. It's your way of reclaiming ownership of your emotional space. Not for their sake, for yours. Because you deserve peace. You deserve freedom. And you deserve mornings that are not haunted by old echoes. This doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to stop reliving the pain, choosing to stop letting it write the story of your day. There will be days when this affirmation is easy to say, and there will be days when it feels heavy, when the past presses against your chest and you're tempted to pick it back up. But that's exactly when it matters most. That's when you look yourself in the mirror and say it again, even if your voice trembles. Because healing is not always loud. Sometimes it's as quiet as a breath, as soft as a whisper, as gentle as one simple sentence, asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight. Asterisk, repeat that enough, and you begin to believe it. Believe it long enough, and you begin to live it. Live it daily, and your life begins to shift, not overnight, but day by day, choice by choice, and suddenly, what once felt heavy becomes lighter. What once kept you stuck loses its grip, and you begin to experience the beauty of the present moment, unfiltered, unchained, and full of new possibility. So tomorrow, when the sun rises and your eyes open, give yourself that gift. Start not with regret, not with old pain, not with self-judgment, but with grace, with truth, with a quiet reminder to your soul that this day is yours, and you are free to live it without dragging the past behind you. Because you are no longer walking backward. Saying the words is where it begins, but that's never where it ends. Affirmations alone don't change your life. They open the door, they give you direction, they remind you of your strength, but the true transformation happens only when those words become actions. Asterisk, I am in control of my mind and my day. Asterisk, asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight. Asterisk, these are powerful truths. But if you only say them and never live them, they stay trapped in your mouth. They never reach your reality. That's why discipline is the bridge between what you tell yourself and who you become. Discipline is not something reserved for extraordinary people. It's not only for athletes or monks or masters of their craft. Discipline belongs to anyone who chooses consistency over comfort. And the moment you realize that your words have no power without your effort behind them, you begin to respect the quiet strength that daily repetition brings. You understand that it's not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. It's not about how inspired you feel. It's about what you're committed to, no matter how you feel. Every morning, when you say your affirmations, you are planting a seed. But it's the daily watering, the effort, the decisions, the behaviors that allow that seed to grow. And some mornings you won't want to say them. Some mornings your mind will be foggy, your heart will feel heavy, and a part of you will resist. That's exactly when it counts most, because discipline is forged not when it's easy, but when it's hard. When you show up even when you don't feel like it, even when the world is pulling you in 1,000 directions, even when doubt knocks on your door, that's where strength is built. Let's take a simple example. You wake up and say, asterisk, I'm in control of my mind and my day, asterisk, and then you pick up your phone and spend 30 minutes scrolling. What did that affirmation mean? You've just handed your control over to distraction. You said the words, but your actions didn't reflect them. Or maybe you say, asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight, asterisk, and then you spend the rest of your morning reliving past conversations, old failures, or what someone said to you last week. Again, the words and the reality are not aligned. But imagine, just for a moment, that you begin to close the gap. That each morning, you don't just speak the truth, you live it. You wake up, you say your affirmation, and then you move with intention. You decide not to rush, you breathe, you stretch, you take 5 minutes of silence before the world enters your mind. You treat yourself with care, you carry yourself with presence. That's discipline, not because it's impressive, but because it's consistent. You're not reacting, you're responding. You're not hoping for peace, you're creating it. One small action at a time. That's how you build a life of alignment. That's how you transform affirmations into your identity. Because repetition is not about the words alone. It's about the pattern you are wiring into your nervous system. And your nervous system learns not by hearing things once, but by experiencing them daily. So if you say you are in control, then you must act like it repeatedly. If you say you are free from the past, then you must behave like someone who is, over and over, until it becomes your new way of being. And don't underestimate the power of small actions. Sometimes people think transformation must be dramatic, that it needs to be loud, fast, or massive. But the most lasting changes are often quiet. It's getting out of bed even when it's cold. It's making your bed with care, preparing your body with movement, feeding your mind with stillness before the chaos begins. These are not acts of routine. They are rituals of discipline. They are your way of honoring the commitments you made to yourself the moment you spoke those affirmations. There's a quiet pride that comes from keeping your own word, and it begins in the unseen moments when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, just you, your breath, your body, and your will. When you practice this kind of discipline, your affirmations are no longer just reminders. They are reflections of who you are becoming. And the more you live in alignment with them, the stronger your belief becomes. Not because you repeated the words hundreds of times, but because you backed them with evidence, with truth, with behavior that matches the intention. And some days you will fall short. That's part of the path. Discipline does not mean perfection. It means coming back, again and again. It means not giving up because you slipped once. It means returning to your morning practice, returning to your breath, returning to your inner voice, no matter how many times you've been knocked down. That's what builds character. That's what builds trust with yourself. And that trust is everything. Because when you trust yourself, you no longer need the world to validate you. You no longer chase approval or fear mistakes. You walk your path with quiet certainty, So tomorrow morning, when you rise and speak your affirmations, don't just let them pass through your lips. Let them move through your entire being. Let them guide the way you carry yourself. Let them influence the choices you make, the energy you bring, and the way you treat yourself and others. That's where the real transformation begins, not in the words, but in the life you build around them. And when you live that way, you no longer need to convince yourself of your power. You begin to feel it. There's something deeply powerful about repetition. We often overlook it because it feels simple, even ordinary. But the truth is, what you repeat, you become. What you tell yourself every single morning is not just shaping how you feel in that moment. It's quietly building the foundation of your identity. Day by day, word by word, thought by thought, you're laying the bricks of who you are becoming. And this is why it matters so deeply that the words you speak to yourself are not careless, that they are intentional, that they reflect the person you are choosing to grow into, not the person you're trying to leave behind. When you tell yourself, asterisk, I am in control of my mind and my day, asterisk or asterisk, I deserve to move forward without carrying yesterday's weight, asterisk, these are not just morning declarations, they are instructions, directions being given to the most powerful tool you have, your own mind, and the more often you give those instructions, the more your mind begins to follow. Not all at once, not overnight, but slowly, gradually, until the message becomes the default, and the default becomes your reality. In the beginning, it might feel like you're just saying the words. They may not feel natural. Your mind may resist. That's okay, that's normal. You've spent years, maybe decades, telling yourself other things, feeding your mind with doubts, fear, negativity, stories of limitation. It takes time to overwrite those messages, but it starts with repetition. You say it again and again, not because you're trying to convince anyone else, but because you're retraining yourself to remember who you really are. And with each repetition, you begin to shift, not in ways the world might notice right away, but in ways you'll feel. The way you carry yourself changes. The way you respond to stress softens. The way you speak becomes more intentional. You begin to feel less like someone trying to be confident, and more like someone who is confident. Not because you're faking it, but because you've practiced it so many times, it has taken root. We often wait for a big moment to change, a breakthrough, a sign, something dramatic to happen. But real transformation is built in the quiet repetition of small truths. Over time, they rewire your inner dialogue. They reprogram your automatic thoughts. And slowly, the identity that once felt forced becomes natural. You're no longer trying to be disciplined, you are disciplined. You're no longer trying to be peaceful, you are peaceful, because you've trained yourself to be that way through repetition. And what's beautiful is that this repetition doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be public. It doesn't need to be perfect. Even on your hardest days, even when your energy is low, even when you doubt everything, you can still whisper it to yourself. You can still return to those simple words. And every time you do, you're reminding your nervous system, asterisk, this is who I am now. Asterisk, that's what builds inner strength, not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of consistency in the face of it. There's a reason we remember the things that are repeated. That's how learning works. That's how mastery works. If you tell a lie enough times, eventually it feels like truth. And the same goes for what you tell yourself every morning. So be mindful of the words you allow to echo in your mind. Be intentional about what you practice, because every thought you think, every phrase you repeat is a rehearsal for the person you are becoming. And it goes even deeper, because when you repeat empowering truths, your body responds, your energy changes, your focus sharpens. You start to recognize opportunities that align with the identity you've chosen. You say, asterisk, I am in control. Asterisk, and you begin to take control not by force, but by alignment. You say, asterisk, I am letting go of yesterday. Asterisk, and you start releasing, not because someone told you to, but because you've said it to yourself so many times, you finally believe it. And belief is what opens the door to new behavior. You don't need to believe fully on the first day. You only need to begin, and from there, stay with it. Repeat it. Speak it with presence. Live it with intention. Let it guide your posture, your decisions, your breath. Because the more often you say something with conviction, the more your mind begins to treat it as truth, and the more your life begins to follow. This is why the morning matters. It's your starting point. It's the moment before the day picks up speed, before the distractions come, before anyone else has a chance to shape your energy. That's when you plant your words. That's when you repeat the truth. That's when you reinforce the identity you are choosing, not the one you've inherited. And every day that you do it, you get a little stronger, a little clearer, a little closer to living not just with intention, but in alignment with the best of who you are. So when the morning comes and you feel the familiar rhythm of your routine, remember this. It's not about saying something once and hoping it changes everything. It's about choosing something powerful, something meaningful, and saying it often enough that it becomes a part of your internal structure. Something that lives in your breath, in your walk, in your decisions. That's the power of repetition. It shapes not just your thoughts, but your identity, not just your mornings, but your life. And when the repetition is aligned with truth, that life becomes something extraordinary.